And welcome to a happy Thursday. I hope you are doing well. Welcome to another episode. Oh, I need to stop adjusting myself so much. That's one of the things that I realized when I watch back these lives. But welcome to another episode 21 of Chai with Rai. I hope you're well. Like I said, I hope you're having a fantastic week. I'm not gonna lie, it's been a tough week. It's just been a tough week, you guys, and I can't wait for the weekend because I'm really looking forward to the fact that I'm filming some exciting projects and I'm getting a haircut, so I'll be looking forward to that. But welcome to Chai with Rai. Very excited to welcome you all to it. I call it my digital jukebox of hidden gems, where I reach out to people whom I know, whom I do not know in the industry, and we just get together and we gallivant and we talk about everything. By the way, I'm just writing. Hi Saloni, hi Rahim, hi Tarek, hi Khalid, hi everybody. I'm just gonna pin this as we do this. I have reached out to people whom I know, whom I do not know in the industry. We get together and we gallivant, we talk about everything from the industry to politics to socialism to culture to digital space and so much more. And I'm very grateful for all the lovely people that sign on every week and every guest that has joined me. And this month I'm especially thankful to everybody who's joined me, from Jess, we talked all about dancehall, to Nikita, to now Saloni. We're going to be talking about classical Indian dancing and politics, and her movie, her documentary that she has shot, directed and co-produced. So we're going to be talking about all of those wonderful things. And I'm just very excited. If you haven't checked out any of the previous episodes, make sure to do so on IGTV. I post there every Thursday, and after every live it goes on there. Hi, pretty. But without further ado, I'm gonna get on with today's course. So today, as I said, and I mentioned already over there, we have Saloni. Saloni is a Kathak dancer, journalist, director, producer, photographer based in London, and singer. We're gonna get to know to that. Saloni, if you're there, I looked at some of the clips where you were singing. Saloni has worked with Sujata, if I'm pronouncing any of these names wrong, please do educate me. Sujata Banerjee, Dance Company Academy, Show Me Dance, Ank Pragav Dance. She's been part of productions such as interpretations of Swan Lake, Kattam Katti, and performed at festivals such as Glastonbury, Nritya Upar Festival, Rich Mix, Faz Mela, and venues such as Buckingham Palace, which I was very, very fascinated, and we're going to talk about that. British Museum, Royal Festival Hall, Wembley Stadium, and internationally performed at Ravi Shankar Centre in Delhi and Stockholm Culture Festival. In 2019, she co-directed and produced a documentary called The Saffron Republic, and I am going to get Saloni on here. Saloni, if you're on here, I need you to come on or send me a thing. But without further ado, let's get Saloni on and let's get this started. I have so many notes that I have been just basically jotting. Saloni, you need to send me a request, woman. By the way, guys, as we're waiting, make sure you got your jar. Hello. Oh my God, your hair is red.
I dyed my hair red.
When did this happen?
It happened, I think, on Monday. What day is it today? It's Thursday. Last week, Monday. What can I say? It's a lockdown crisis. Chopped my hair off, dyed it red. I think I might go blue next week.
Oh my God. Oh, got it. By the way, I don't think I ever told you this, and I don't know if you'll ever take this as a compliment. Firstly, hello, how are you? How are you doing?
I'm good.
But I don't know if I ever told you this. I have recently come to acquire an actress who's just blown me away. And I watched a movie, and you have a certain energy of hers that you remind me of. And I hope you don't mind saying me this, but the actress, I don't know if you know her name. Do you know who I'm going to say, or not really?
I don't.
Her name is Rasika Dugal.
Oh my God, yeah. I remind you of her? Really?
Yeah, you have a certain amount of je ne sais quoi that
wow.
She's a bomb actress.
Well, yeah, she's absolutely incredible. And if you know, if I remind you of her, that's the biggest compliment ever. So thank you.
Well, I watched a movie called, was it Monty, which is about the Pakistani writer, which Namrita produced, who was in the movie that we did. And yeah, I watched that, and I've been fascinated with all of her projects. And then I watched a couple of hers. And then as I was browsing through your profile today, I was like, yeah, you have that sort of in
Thank
there.
you. That's very
Somebody just said Saloni is better than Rasika.
Hi.
Well,
one show.
Before we get you into your Chai with the Right experience, are you ready? We're going to play a quick little game.
Ooh, I'm nervous. Okay.
All right. This game is not mine. I've stolen it. I've borrowed it. And it is called the 5-minute rule. I'm going to name 3 things. Okay. You have 5 seconds. It's 5 seconds. Why did I say 5 minutes? You have 5 seconds to name 3 things. Okay.
I have 5 seconds to name 3 things.
Yeah, so if I was like, name 5 things you could use avocado for, and I'll start counting.
Okay,
and
fine.
Yeah. Are you ready? You got this. Have you got your jar? Have you got your mind? You've got this. Okay, cool. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
First question, easy. Name 3 things you say when you're hungry.
Oh shit. Get away from me. Leave me alone.
Okay. Oh shit, get away. Name 3 animals beginning with the letter S.
Snake, snail, serpent.
Oh, you're really good at this.
Serpent and snake are the same thing. I picked all right.
I mean, just go with it. Name 3 songs that have the word in it.
Have the word what? Pyar. Pyar kiya to darna kya? That's 1. Sorry. I could think of 1. There must be so many. I'm blanking. You're putting me on the spot. I'm not good under pressure.
This is the whole point. This is the whole point.
Oh.
Okay, last 3. Okay, name 3 things you do before you go to sleep.
Brush my teeth, wash my face, and brush my hair.
Oh, there's a lot of brushing happening.
Yeah, I'm very OCD before I go to bed. So like things have to be done in a very specific way. Like I have to organize my clothes. I have to like make my blanket in a certain way, and my door has to be shut like 3 times, and my lights have to be shut in a separate way. I'm very OCD with my night.
Wait, why does your door have to be shut 3 times?
I don't know. I just have, you know how everybody has a thing? I have a thing. I have weird things, and I have these weird OCDs about how things need to be. Otherwise, I can't sleep. I'll get up and shut it 3 times.
What do you do when you're like away? Like when you're on
Honestly, when I'm away, it doesn't matter. I could be in a hotel. I could be anywhere, and none of that comes to play. It's only when I'm in my house and I'm in my room, then all of these things are like, I need things to be of a certain way. I'm very particular about things. I'm weird.
No, I think that's very interesting. I just want to know about the door. Okay, 2 last one. Okay, this one is a fun one, and I think you should get up for this. This is an active one. Are you ready? Do you have space to do it?
Okay.
Okay. Do you have space? All right, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, do 3 dances. Beyonce was a Kathak dancer.
If what?
Beyonce was a Kathak dancer. I'm not gonna lie, I was hoping to see a reinterpretation of Single Ladies, but Kathak style.
You've given me 5 seconds. It's difficult.
Yeah, the game is called 5 seconds.
Don't twerk.
I feel like you're a very graceful person, and then when I see you dance, I'm like, interesting. Would you twerk?
No, I'm not very good at it.
Well, we'll get into that. Are you ready? This is the last one. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Name 3 things that you would run a campaign on as a prime minister.
Dalit Lives Matter, Black Lives Matter, and redistribution of wealth.
Well done. Well done. And now you can relax and breathe. It's a recent thing I've started doing. I was like, why not? Just make people at ease.
Wake people up, for sure. like 7 p.m. on a weekday. Wake up.
Well, cheers. What are you drinking?
I'm drinking chai. I literally got my father to make me adrak chai.
Adrak chai. The rule is, by the way, I just say a couple of things before we do anything. That one, Instagram allows us to do a live for 4 hours now. So if by any means you are hungry, you need to pee, or you're like, this is going for too long, just do this, okay? And I will do this.
I just do this.
Okay.
Well, I have to leave at 8:30 because I'm going for dinner with my family. So there you go.
Cool. I will do my best. Oh my God, that gives me so little time, but that's good because the power of editing will do anything. But and drink less, like just sip.
Yeah, I won't pee more. Don't worry, I won't pee.
It's fine.
I'll hold it.
I mean, I might. So like, it's happened once on a live. But how are you? How's your week? How's your day-to-day been?
It's been okay. It's been slow. Yeah. Difficult. There's not much work. So there's just a lot of applying for work, but not many people want to hire you for work because they can barely keep the people they already have. Forget about bringing new people. And so, yeah, it's just been a lot of trying to not sit in one spot all day. Yeah. And some days it works and some days it doesn't work. So it's just about, I think right now it's keeping your head above water. Things are opening, so there's a lot of excitement to be out and about, but then there's a lot of anxiety to be out and about as well, because it's almost like this weird obligation to suddenly meet people and book all these things. But it's like, well, what if I want to just be at home on a Saturday? Is that so bad? Yeah. Kind of thing. So
can you please pray for me that I pass 9th grade, please? Love from India's lonely states. Guys, since we're on an hour and a half, like, I'm gonna try my best to ignore you. I'm joking.
How long are your lives usually? That they go past an hour and a half?
They go past 2 to 3. Nikita's last week was almost 3.
Wow. Okay.
I know. I do apologize. Firstly, can I just say, before we get into everything, 1 week to research on Indian politics is not enough. And whilst feeling depressed just about life is not enough. Like, politics in general just amazes me, but the amount of research that is involved is just a lot.
Most people have barely even scratched the surface. You ask me questions, and honestly, I'll try my best to answer them, but I don't know much, you know. I know what I've learned, and I know what I learn on a passive basis, on daily research, on just keeping up with the news, but there's so much to it because so much of Indian politics is influenced by the history of Indian politics, and if you're not well tuned with the history of it, then it's very difficult to have a educated grasp on the current aspect of it, on the current perspective of it. So much of what's happening now is a reflection of what happened or what should have happened, and a lot of people's opinion on what's happening in India, especially politically, has a lot to do with their anger of how things have gone in the past, or, you know, years and years of caste struggles and discrimination against certain groups, which is so ingrained that you can't just humiliate someone for not agreeing with you, which is something I've learned.
I think it's this interesting. 2 things that I learned from doing this research is, I think, the mentality of what the parties run on and how engraved they are with religion. When I was doing like queer work and working with LGBTQ plus charities, the one thing that we get taught always is you can never argue with somebody who's on the basis of religion. And I found it difficult because I was trying to educate myself on the caste systems that were there, and like the parties that use caste system as a basis of protagonizing their campaigns or just doing certain things. And I was just astonished. I was like, how can you talk politics of facts when it's so engraved in everything?
Yeah.
But we digress, and we're going to politics in a bit. But we'll talk about your dance career.
Oh, my favorite.
Your favorite. Okay, we're going to do this very quickly. I am very much interested in 3 productions that you have done. One is Kattam Katti.
Kattam Katti.
Kattam Katti.
Hard tea, hard tea.
Okay, cool. Well, I've mispronounced so many things already then. Kattam Katti, the reinterpretation of Swan Lake and Glastonbury. Okay, I feel Kattam Katti is very close to you because it deals with a lot of things in terms of politics, like caste and things like that, and how the usage of kites was done. Well, I only watched behind the scenes video, and I tried to get the actual footage, but I just couldn't find it right now.
It's a production in the works. So
Got
the
it.
official premiere has not yet happened.
Swan Lake, because it's Swan Lake, how was it to do something that's so popular and like reinterpret it? And Glastonbury, like, is Kathak appreciated at Glastonbury, or are people just high as F, or are you high as F when you're performing and you're just like, oh yeah, life is great?
Honestly, Glastonbury was okay. Which one do you want me to start with?
You start with whichever one. So those are the 3 ones.
Okay, I'll start with Kattam Katti. So a little bit of context on the show. It is a production that is being choreographed and directed by Urja Thakur, who's a Kathak dancer and choreographer based in the UK. And this piece has been in the works since like 2018. And it would have premiered and we would have been on tour by now. But as you know, COVID got in the way and the theater is shut. But it is a very, very interesting piece. And it's probably one of my favorite productions that I'm a part of. Not only is it physically extremely demanding, literally, I'm nervous to go back to rehearsals because I just feel like over lockdown, I've lost so much fitness that I'm going to turn up on day 1 of rehearsals and just not be able to even get to the end of the piece because it's such a physically demanding piece, which is something that people underestimate, about Kathak and about classical dance forms, about how grueling they can be. But also just so nice to have a challenge as a dancer, something to work towards. The piece is interesting because it deals with the festival of Uttarayan, and that is a harvest festival, and Uttarayan specifically is the festival of kites. And it takes place in Rajasthan and Gujarat, and you'll see usually in the month of January, all these terraces in India, and they're filled and scattered with little kids, adults, siblings, families, friends, everybody of all ages, and everybody is flying kites. You just look up to the sky and you'll just see a rainbow of kites. And there's a game of, because the kite string has glass in it. So it's also a very dangerous.
Has it not been banned? Because I used to do that in Pakistan, but it got banned because lots of people got ill from it. And like,
it must be banned in some places, but in many parts of India, it's too integral a festival for it to be banned. I think there are definite safety measures that have been probably taken up, but
are you talking about the tape?
Yeah, the tape and everything. You'll see like a lot of people, and we deal with this in the show, that dependent on what level you're at in life, it also shows what level you are physically, whether you're on a terrace, whether you're on the ground floor. Because if you're on a terrace, you're away from the glass strings, you're not going to be injured. But if you cut something, if you cut a kite and the string goes down and someone's chasing it and the string's flying and you're walking along the street or you're riding a bike on the street, so many people have been so badly injured because the string will just come out of, it's practically invisible, and it will come out of nowhere and it can just cut you, and it's really, really dangerous. So it's a very fun festival, but it's also a very dangerous festival. So that it's a love-hate kind of relationship, but it deals with a lot of social hierarchy, and that's what the production sort of delves into. So it's very, very interesting, but it's a lot of fun, and it's one of the first Kathak pieces I've been in which brings in the musicians, and the musicians aren't just sort of sat. And real kudos to Urjaji for doing this, is not allowing the musicians to just sit in one place in the corners. They're getting up, they're acting with us. You know?
Oh, that's so much fun.
And so they're playing their instruments, which is incredibly, to be able to play the bansuri and walk around and, or, you know, just participate. Not one person is there for show. Everybody has a character, everybody has a role, everybody is there for a reason, and it's just such a beautiful show, and it's such a shame that it hasn't been on stage yet, because it deserves to be, and I'm really looking forward to our
When do you guys go back?
October, and
Okay.
ideally, fingers crossed, there are some dates that are coming in from next autumn on to spring 2022. We potentially have a tour. Everybody come watch us. So that's
okay. Swan Lake quickly, and then Glastonbury.
Swan Lake, I was a very, very small part of Swan Lake. Swan Lake was this incredible production that was choreographed by Sujata Banerjee, who's my guru, my teacher in the UK. And she had this vision. Every year she does this festival called Hemantika. She had this vision that she wants to make a Kathak Swan Lake. And it was, Raheem was there. Raheem was in it.
Raheem was in it. What was Raheem?
Raheem was, I think, Raheem and I were both one of the court dancers, you know?
Oh, hey.
In the court scenes we were dancing. And I was also one of the little swans. And it was a beautiful production. The way that she got, and Shami Pitia, who's a musician, sort of also brought the music in together, how they combined the original score of Swan Lake and they added Kathak elements, just whether it's Bansuri or whether it's Kathak bowls, the Padhant, and how they added different bits. It was just such an interesting experience, because you're listening to the original Swan Lake music and you're doing chakkars and ras and pihais, and it was really a revolutionary thought. But that's what Sujata Ji is. She's very revolutionary in some ways. So that was Swan Lake. And Glastonbury, quickly.
Yeah.
Glastonbury was a very interesting experience. You're right. Most people watching were very, very high. And I think that's probably why they loved it, because we performed after the main act. So the main act finished. And
Beyonce finished, and then you go on this.
And I was like,
I'll take over.
Our slot was actually at like 12:30, 1 a.m.
Bloody hell.
And we were in so Glastonbury is separated into little sections, right? So we were in this one section, which was like a very, very hippie section of the festival. And it was like in this tent with all these fairy lights, and everybody that sort of like rocked up to the tent was stoned out of their minds. And I was in this gorgeous red outfit, and we had the musician who I was dancing for, his name's Raimu, and I'm
going to see if I can pull something. Keep telling.
He and I had created this music video called Riyaz.
Yes.
And so that performance was a live version of that music video. And that music video had my balls in it. And
is that similar to this outfit?
It's exactly that outfit.
Yeah.
It's exactly that outfit. And the music was created was very fun. He sort of used modern beats and combined my balls, and there was a lot of like looping, and so we did that live. So I would traditionally in a Kathak performance, you would have the dancer come to the mic, introduce their piece, prastut hai tukra, and then they would say the tukra, and then they would come on stage, and the musicians would play it. There would be someone sitting there doing the padant, and you would dance each tukra, and it would be very methodical. So this was a play on that, where I would come to the mic, I would speak the tukra with the beats behind me. It would then be looped, and the modern music would be played, and I was dancing. And I just remember speaking these balls, which in a way is like a rap. And everybody in the audience is like quite sleepy, they're watching, and I come to the mic and I start, and I'm like, and I'm vibing, and I can just see people going, cool. And then they just start, because it's so much fun when you really like allow yourself to be open-minded about Kathak bowls and tabla. It's really, really interesting. And then I start dancing, and obviously the Kathak spin, the dress, it's forever been a crowd pleaser. So I start spinning, and everybody loses their mind, and except one person who fell asleep right in front of the stage. He was watching, he was like, cool, and then he lay down. And there was a section where I sat down, and I'm dancing, and I look straight ahead, and he's just passed out in front of me. And I was like, Glastonbury, okay, this is cool. It was fun though. It was an experience. Never have I ever gotten ready, done a full hair, makeup, gajra, tikka, everything in a tent with a phone torch as a light.
Yeah.
And then like a tiny mirror, and trying to like get dressed and do my hair and everything was unforgettable experience.
Did you catch a buzz as well by any chance of it?
No.
Whilst you were performing?
I'm a very sensible girl.
But you've never performed high or drunk or under
never,
the influence?
No, never.
Wow.
Never.
Wow.
No. I would never. I respect my form too much to do that.
Fair enough. I'll ask you in 5 years.
Wow.
No, because classical ballet
I should ask you that question, Raimu.
I have.
Done? Oh.
When have I done it sober?
Yeah.
No, I have, to be honest with you, because I think like sometimes it happens all the time, and like the industry is made for it, especially when you're backstage. Alcohol is there when you go perform at venues and things like that, and sometimes like it's just
different. I think in the classical world it's a little bit. To be honest, there are many stories of classical musicians.
Yeah.
Especially in the olden days, the reason so many in ancient times people were able to sit for hours and hours and hours and hit those notes and do these alaps is because they were high. They were smoking a field, and then they would sing, and the metaphors would be created like that. But no.
No, she's a good
The
girl.
dance is too hard to be done in any other way but like full attention. So,
I understand. That is true. I don't know how you would do like tuckers and like all those peres if you were just like.
I'd be dizzy. I'd be too dizzy. I couldn't do it.
Talking about Kathak.
Sorry?
We're talking about Kathak. Can you hear me? Am I stuck?
Yeah.
We're talking about Kathak. Simply answer this. How does Kathak sit in your life today? What does it mean to you? By the way, I've been watching all of your panel conversations that you've done on Zoom, like South Asian Heritage Month, and like all of these YouTube clips and things that you're tagged in. And I was like, wow. But and you talk about very passionately about Kathak and the arts just in general. But yeah, what does Kathak mean to you? How does it sit in your life today? And where do you store all your costumes, by the way? Is there a costume wardrobe in your house?
I have 2 suitcases in the back of my room where everything is
kept.
And whenever as a performance, I zip open the suitcase and I have them open in my bed, and I'm like, what today? My costume suitcases are like my favorite things. They're definitely not kept as well as they should be kept, but that's something to work. Kathak in my life is, wow, it's an intense question. I think I am who I am because of it. It has shaped me in many ways. Kathak has brought me very close to my culture, and not in a wow, I love my culture, I love the food, I love the colors kind of way, but in a way that genuinely taught me how to learn about the history, about the traditions, about different aspects, which of just history that was at one point very, very, very progressive. Like when we talk about mythology and you read the original stories, I like to refer to mythology as stories because I'm not the most religious person. So for me, they are stories and they are characters. But for me, those characters and those stories are so progressive. And I feel like with time and with those who have told the stories, Brahmin men, those stories have become very, very male-centric, and the progressive nature of those stories has been tainted a little bit, and the way that we tell those stories really affects what those stories were. And for me, Kathak at every stage of my life has meant something very, very different. So when I first started, it was just love for dance. When I got more into it, it was wow, I didn't know I could move like this. It's so beautiful. I love being graceful. Then I started learning more about it. I started training with Sujata ji. I understood the rhythm behind it, and I went, wow, I'm a musician. I can do this. I understand rhythm. I'm able. I used to sit there and I used to hear beats, and I remember sitting so many times with my brother, and we'd be listening to just a normal Bollywood song, and I'd be like, okay, what time cycle is this in? What time cycle is this in? Because I'd be testing myself, and I'd be excited to learn from him and teach him and learn myself. Oh, wow. And then I started studying it. Now it's gotten to a phase where Kathak just isn't just about the aesthetic and the beats and the music, but it's about the stories and the history and the dances that used to exist and who they represent. You know, Kathak dancers at one time used to be courtesans. those courtesans became prostitutes. But often people forget that before courtesans were sex workers, they were just artists. They were
Yeah, you
dancers.
mentioned, this was mentioned in the South Asian thing, where I think one of your fellow people was also a Kathak dancer, and it talked about how she found, and you guys have found, sensuality and sexuality, and these women were highly educated.
Yes, they were extremely intellectual women, and they were women that did their femininity and their sexuality in ways that got quietened for some reason. Well, not for some reason, for very obvious reasons, but back then femininity and sexuality was celebrated through dance, through art, through music, and then with time and with the culture of subservience in women and patriarchy, that kind of freedom and sexuality was dampened. And I feel like nowadays, with the rise of research, knowledge, the queer community, and just people going back and actually going, no, I want to retell these stories. I want to tell them right. I want to tell mythology right. I want to tell the stories of Kathak dancers right. I want to dance in a way that, because if you look at Kathak dances many years ago, it wasn't necessarily that aesthetic. You know, now you look at a Kathak dancer and there's a certain technique to it, and everything has to be of a certain style and of a certain stance and of a certain way. But back then, it wasn't like that. It was much more free.
Do you think that's to do, I'm so sorry to interrupt.
No.
Oh my God. No, go ahead. But do you think that's to do with the fact that it has become institutionalized? Like it's almost like a certification. There's theory involved in it. There's education involved with it. Whereas before, like a lot of folk dancing and things like that, it just was, dare I say, part of the culture?
No, it really, you're completely right. That's exactly what it was. And now it has been institutionalized. There are houses. Those houses have styles that want to be replicated. And often it's very dependent on who you learn from. Like I'm very grateful to have learned from my guru, Gorisha Matrapati, who's based in Mumbai, who's always taught us that, you know, dance for your own body. Don't dance to replicate somebody else's style. Like make Kathak your own. So if you have long arms, stretch them. You have long arms. You know, if you're tall, move, like bend, go, be free. Don't hide yourself. Don't try and not be sexy. Don't try and not enjoy yourself because you have to match. You have to be like a clone of a Kathak dancer that you want to be like, no? So we often view classical dance as something that needs to be uniform, but it never was. That's not how it began, and that's not how I want to continue it, you know, for me. And that's where Kathak is in my life today, that it's changed, but you have to go through that process of change for you to get to a point where you feel comfortable in the form enough to be like, actually, I'm going to make it my own. Because it's such an intimidating form, it's such an intimidating world, the classical world, that you don't want to rock the boat. But it takes you being afraid, being humble, like following, learning. Like you have to learn the form before you question it, you know? And so I don't think I've learned the form. I'm nowhere even near. I've just scratched the surface. But I feel comfortable enough in it to turn around and go, you know what? I'm going to focus on this part. And you know what? I like the way I do this, so I'm going to keep doing it like this. And I'm going to take the best parts of everyone I admire and make it my own. And I'm going to make dance my own. I'm not going to follow like what this person tells me to do or that person tells me to do. Like just because I'm a Kathak dancer doesn't mean I can't do any other dance form. Like we were talking about this on set when we were together. That Kathak and classical dance has been such an exclusive dance form, and it doesn't have to be. You know, dancers can be who they want to be. If you're a Kathak dancer, doesn't mean you're only a Kathak dancer. Because God forbid you touch something else. No, you can do whatever you want. Like, just have fun. It's at the end of the day, it's dance, and that's how everybody viewed it, right? Dance is a form of freedom. It's a form of expression. So dance if you want to dance. Oh my
God, Saloni, I hate the fact you have to nip off at 8:30 and I'm like editing questions in my head because I have
I'm so sorry.
It's so fine. I think like in 10 minutes we have to stop talking about dance and move on to politics, and then we'll give that 20 minutes and then
put dance, please. I don't want to embarrass myself with politics. You think I know more than I do. I don't know that.
Can I just say, No. It's not. I think the thing is, it's fascinating, and I think one should talk about politics and one should talk about and educate people. I think so. That's why I want to brush up on it, even if it's like 10 minutes, even if it's 20 minutes. I think there's a lot of times, like I even myself, and I'll say this, I thought I would be judged for a lot of things that I am ignorant about. I'm not ashamed to say that. And yes, I think like sometimes there might be consequences to us speaking out. Like we've talked about this when you launched the documentary, but I think there's no harm in just talking about it. So we have to talk about it. Kathak and dance. Okay. Why is this? I had a dancer from India and we were talking about colorism and we were talking about stereotyping. We were talking about sexism. And why is it? I had a dancer from Canada actually, and we were talking about Bharatanatyam and Odissi and all of these styles. Why is there that there's certain colorism attached to certain forms of classical dancing? That's me coming from an outside perspective. Because that's what I've seen. Like, I have always seen like South Indian people from like Tamil, Sri Lanka, or like, why did I say Tamil? That's ignorant of me. But like, you know, oh my God, I don't want to get this incorrected, but like people maybe who are dark pigmented or dark skinned do Bharatanatyam, and people who are lighter skinned do Kathak. And I have always felt there's this sort of like battle over the fluidity and the harshness of it. And two, in terms of training styles for it, like how does one get over the stigma of just wanting to do it as a style when you're talking about like how it's progressed and how certain social norms have demeaned classical dancing, and B, it's very expensive to like learn it. So like I remember back in the day, all I wanted to do was just go to a couple of dance classes and just learn it. But when I found out the fees, I was like, I can't even begin to. And then I found out now you have to do theory in order to like be able to do anything. And then like the whole guru aspect, like your master has to give, your guru has to give you them, but then people are now buying these like play gurus, the strap ones. And now, you know, if you've done Bollywood, you do Kathak, or if you've done an intensive. So like there's a lot of questions there, but yeah, these sort of like,
you've tapped on a lot there. Like there's quite a few
that's
topics.
That's why I said 8:30. Hate the fact you have to go.
There's quite a lot in there. So I think I'll pick what I know and what I feel like I can speak about. Firstly, skin color and dance form. Kathak, Bharatanatyam is a South Indian dance form. Kathak is a North Indian dance form. A lot of the time, a lot of dancers who join these classical dance forms often join at quite a young age, where you're not really exposed. The dancer itself themselves is not exposed to the form. It's their family or their parents or whoever enrolls them in the class in the first place, and that often comes from the parents' exposure to the dance form. Now, if you've grown up in a South Indian community, the chances are you're going to be a lot more exposed to Bharatanatyam because it's a South Indian dance form, which has its base in Carnatic music, which is a South Indian art form. So the chances are you're going to do that. If you're from North India, the chances are you're going to be more familiar with Kathak, which is why most people either go into Bharatanatyam or Kathak, and then there are things like Kuchipudi, Manipuri, Odissi, which are so untouched, even though there's, like I always say, that if I could pick today, I wish I was an Odissi dancer. It's my favorite dance form, but I didn't know anything about it. You know, when I was growing up, I love dance, so my mom put me in Bollywood dance classes, and she put me in Kathak dance classes because she was like, okay, my daughter has to learn a classical dance form because that's good for her, and I know about Kathak, so I'm going to put her in Kathak. I was put in Bharatanatyam classes for a short while, but I preferred Kathak, but that was just a personal choice. But as a community, a lot of people are more well versed in Kathak than they are in Bharatanatyam because I'm from North India, and then that's just something I was thrown into, and then I grew to love. A lot of people who join classical forms don't join them at 6 years old, 7 years old because they love them then. They're put into it to learn discipline because, you know, learning a classical dance form, which is also to touch upon the theory, the expense of it, the ghungroos, the everything that comes with the form. It's not easy, which is why to learn a classical dance form, you can't just like turn up to a couple classes. Like, it's something that takes a lot of training, and it takes a lot of discipline. It takes a lot of dedication. So I didn't get remotely okay at the form for a very, very long time because I wasn't dedicated. Only until I understood why the theory is important did I actually start to respect the form, because I used to hate theory. I used to be like, I just want to dance. But then like, I have to thank Sujata ji, my teacher, for this, who taught me the importance of the theory and how there is no dance without the theory. The same way there is no music without notes and beats and things to follow. The same way Kathak and Bharatanatyam is nothing without its rhythmic cycles, because at the end of the day, it isn't just dance. You know, there's a lot to it, and which is why there is so much discipline required, and which is why there is so much dedication. And maybe, it is an expensive dance form, but probably why there's so much expense required. I wasn't given my ghungroos by my teachers or my masters or my gurus. I bought them myself. I don't think that Kathak dancers should be wearing the Velcro play ones. I think those are Bharatanatyam ghungroos, and Kathak ones are the ones on the string. And like, that's something that you have to learn about. You have to do your own research, and you have to be like, okay, what are the right ghungroos for the form I'm learning? And you have to do it. Like, if you're going to learn the form, do it right. You know, if you're going to learn the form comes with so much history. Respect that form, and you go into it with that same dedication. Unless you want to, that's why so many like things like semi-classical classes exist, because people enjoy the grace of Kathak, but don't want to do the classical training that comes.
How do you feel about that though? Because I think there's a diluted versions when some dancers are so like in it, like they're so pure, that it's almost sometimes like.
So I love semi-classical. I think it's a beautiful way to dance. I think it's essentially just a more graceful Bollywood. What I don't like is when people will, and I've seen it a lot on Instagram with the rise of Instagram dance, is when people will do a mildly graceful dance and
this.
Yeah, and they'll do like a little bit of this and a little bit of this, and then they'll label it Kathak.
Yeah.
Because what they're doing is diluting an entire art form, which, to be honest, to learn and to get any kind of grasp on requires a lot of knowledge. Like I said, without the theory, there is no Kathak. You know, without understanding what are the beats behind why you're doing what, there is no Kathak. Like we hear balls and Kathak balls in these Bollywood songs, and it's beautiful. But unless you understand what is being said, what is the beat, like, then how can you just label it Kathak? You can't. You know, everything comes with like everything comes with a lot of training. And
somebody just wrote, I'm sorry, I'll stop.
No, I don't mean it like at the same time, there's always a flip side. You know, there's things I don't like in that, and there's things that I don't like in this. And at the same time, there's a lot of classical dancers who are very, very, you know,
experimental or purist,
very pure, and you know, good for them, and like anything that makes you feel closer to your form. But I don't feel like there should be judgment from one purist to someone who likes to dance any other ways. I just think you need to label your forms right. So, you know, dance whatever you like, be free, do whatever you like, just don't muddle names, I think, because every form has its own respect and every form has its own history and training. So as long as you're not diluting one by doing something like quite mediocre, you're fine.
Yeah.
So like if I do a semi-classical dance, I'll probably just call it Bollywood. I won't turn around and be like, oh, this is Kathak. Like, no.
Do you know one thing I would love, and if there is classical community in this sort of sphere that you're bringing to, or you have connections with, one thing I've always wanted, And it exists to a certain capacity in the form of semi-classical. And who is it that teaches at Elephant and Castle in one of the studios? Is it Shomi, or is it one of the girls from Academy that teaches? Oh my God.
Elephant and Castle.
Yeah, there's a classical course this lady does. I can't remember her name. But anyway, I digress. What I would love is there's a thing called Horton technique, and it's beautiful. And what it is, it's a very it's associated, I would say. It's the dancers. One of the guys I know, he's in charge of Lion King. He's one of the principal dancers for Lion King, and there's certain Alvin Ailey jazz sort of element to it, but also with the music, it's very much like Black influenced. And I would love, and it has like ballet and contemporary disciplines in it, and I would love some sort of like a contemporary classical version of it that's not lyrical, like So You Think You Can Dance, or like that's not semi-classical, but that's rooted in technique, and that is a drop-in class for like the South Asians, and is taught at like Dance Works or Pineapple and something like that. Maybe somebody like an Urja who experiments, I feel like.
Honestly,
with
I think that you've hit the nail on the head. I think she would be perfect for it, because even a lot of the Kattam Katti choreography, it's pure Kathak.
yeah,
Like everything, all of our entire language in the dance is Kathak, but the way she's representing it is very contemporary. So
yeah,
a traditional Kathak performance, like I said, is it's a soloist form. So you'll have one solo dancer, musicians, a tukra, then you dance a tukra, then it's very like routine. But just for example, we're not wearing bells, we're not wearing the traditional costume. Its form is abstract. It flits in and out of, you know, the tradition, and it's very, very contemporary in its form, and it's very physically grueling. So something like that requires a base level of training and a base level of technique, but it would be so brilliant for so many professional dancers to be able to just come and learn
yeah.
you know, like one masterclass in
I so agree.
in the language of Kathak. So
Agreed.
you're not, you know, starting your journey, but
From it.
you're touching into what the language is, and you know, the movement style in the correct way. Style. Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna talk about, oh my God, as I browse through so many questions. I'm gonna ask this. Have you ever stopped dancing or thought about stopping of dancing? And what is your earliest memory and exposure to the arts? And when did you know that Kathak or journalism and producing and directing was going to be a career choice for you? You have 5 minutes to answer this.
Okay.
Before we...
Have I ever thought about stopping dancing? Yeah, I thought about it yesterday.
Really?
Well, yeah, because it's
Sorry.
really difficult right now. But no, I digress. It's tough. So yeah, there are moments where I think, this is really difficult. Is it worth it? This is really difficult. Is it worth it? Am I going to be able to live a sustainable life? Is this viable economically? Can I do it? I don't think it is viable economically, especially right now, which is why I'm on a hunt for part-time jobs and jobs in general, because it is not something that you can sustain a life on right now.
Could you teach? I mean, like, I went into teaching out of wanting to survive. Otherwise, it was waitressing tables and hosting and doing like random things.
I could teach. I do think teaching is a gigantic responsibility. And I think that if you yourself are not in love with teaching and passing on knowledge, then it could be very, very detrimental to a young child who is potentially the world's next best dancer. And you could be the reason why they're not, because you didn't bring to them the form in the right way. I am the dancer I am because of my teachers and the influence they had on me. And so I feel like that's not a responsibility I'm ready for. So I take teaching very seriously. So it's not something I just want to do.
Very interesting. There's so many people out here who be like doing covers and teaching workshops and shit like that. Not hating, just saying.
Teaching is one thing, but teaching Kathak and teaching a classical form is another. Like if I'm going to be teaching Kathak, there's a journey with that. You don't just teach for a bit and stop. You know, you bring someone on that journey and you take them through it. and so that's a commitment. It's a
You could do
serious
Bollywood classes. You could do semi-classical. You could do brides dances, first couples dances.
yeah,
You know,
yeah.
things like that.
I don't know. Yeah, totally. Yeah, no, yeah, totally.
Joy, how many Bollywood companies out here would love to have you? You know,
Honestly, I live in a permanent identity crisis with my dancing. Like,
yeah.
who am I? What am I dancing? What am I doing?
Okay.
So, you know, you never know. Talk to me in 2 years, maybe I'm suddenly part of a Bollywood dancer.
Don't go into a Bollywood company. I'm joking.
Or if you do,
I'll go.
join mine.
No, don't. I don't even have one. I'm not associated with one. Like I'm a freelancer at the end of the day.
So I don't know. Like, let's see regarding that what happens. But okay, so that was that. Then what is my earliest memory of the art form? My earliest memory of Kathak that influenced me to be a Kathak dancer, or that is just my earliest memory of Kathak?
I think earliest memory of everything, like for me, it will be like watching Shri 420 and watching Raj Kapoor, like, and just seeing like a television, or like then watching Dil Se, and like then watching NSYNC and Peter Andre. It's very vastly.
I think my earliest memory of Kathak is honestly the classes that I was put in as a 5-6-year-old. And this one particular memory that always comes to mind, where I'm like 6 years old and I'm in this Kathak class and I'm learning, and it was in this community hall called Sangam. And I'm standing there like tiny, and I'm learning this one step, and I just have to, so the way she described it was reach up to the sky, pick a star, put it in your lap. Pick a star, put it in your lap. Pick a star, put it in your lap. And I enjoyed doing that so much that it stuck with me, like this one memory of me just standing there going, pick a star, put it in my lap. Pick a star, put it in my lap. Pick a star, put it in my lap, which eventually translates into this. But
Yeah.
as a 6-year-old, like just the story behind it, I loved it. So that's my earliest memory of Kathak.
Okay.
And what was
And
the last question?
At what point did you decide this was the career that I was going to do? Like you do journalism, you do directing, producing, and then, you know, you do photography as well, for those who don't know. You dabble in photography.
Yeah.
You also do singing because you did some pole work, and it's like rap.
I'm not a singer. I'm a really bad singer.
Listen, I know a lot of Kathak dancers that firstly, you guys have to sing your balls, right? And like,
I don't know if singing is the right word. We say our balls.
Yeah, but it's still in a tune.
Yeah, but I'm a bad singer.
Well, we'll get to that.
No, if you make me sing, I'll leave early.
No, you promised 6:30. Come on,
okay,
don't
fine.
do this to me.
Okay, I'm not singing. I'm not singing.
Okay, so
I'm about to.
She raps.
I rap. Kathak balls. That's a good way to put it. Okay, fine. The moment I realized I wanted to become a Kathak dancer.
She's a bad singer. Oh my god, who said that? That is evil.
Rishi has heard me sing. But Rishi has heard me sing at a Bollywood night.
Who Rishi?
Rishi is a friend of mine, and he's heard me sing at a Bollywood night. So he knows that I'm a bad singer.
We're gonna change that. She's gonna be the next Mariah Carey, you guys.
I think the moment I realized I don't even know when this is. I think my teacher Goriji, when she was in the UK, is a resident artist at the South Bank Centre, and every year there used to be this festival called Alchemy. And
can I just say, we have crossed paths so many times
in Alchemy.
I used to come to South Bank Centre like there was no point, and I would watch you guys perform all the time without knowing you. Then we have met at the B-Funk workshop, and I don't even know we did that until I saw you.
Workshop.
I had a very harsh beard and I had a hat. Then we have crossed paths at Bombay Funkadelics like nights.
No.
And I was like, wow.
Oh, wow.
So we have crossed paths without knowing
definitely
that we
like paths. Definitely.
But so go, sorry.
I think just in those annual festivals, watching Goriji perform, watching the senior girls perform, there was a brilliant show. 2 senior dancers in the Ankh company, Seema and Payal, both did their Rangmanch Pravesh, which is essentially the Kathak version of a Bharatanatyam Arangetram. It's like your
Oh, thank you so much for explaining that. Like, dumb
finishing.
it down.
It's like a finishing thing.
Yeah.
But they, because it's Gauraji and she is so like forward thinking and abstract, she did their Rangmanch Pravesh as a duet, and she made it so beautiful that it was like, there was this whole section, I remember it so clearly, there was a whole section where there was a sheer curtain in between them, and they were sitting on either side, and they were tying their ghungroos on their feet on stage, and in the background was this a voiceover of each of them talking about how each of them got into Kathak as young girls studying in Wembley, and just their story of that playing. And then they went into this duet piece of a song by Neeraj Chugg, who's an amazing musician, and the song is Allahu. And they did it, and they were wearing this coat, and I still remember that duet.
I saw that.
I remember this duet, and that I watched it, and I was like, I want to do that. I just remember sitting on this seat being like, I want to be on stage. I want to do that. I want to do that. I really want to do that. And then from then, I would just grasp any opportunity. Like anytime Gauraji needed a dancer to do this, it would be like, me, pick me. And then I remember just so many performances came off the back of that, and learning how to be on stage, getting like the feeling of being on stage, just everything about it. But that, I think, was my one moment where I looked at them and I went, that, I want that. I want that.
That's fun.
I want that.
What age are we at that point, by the way?
30.
30. 13?
13.
I was gonna say you're not 30.
I'm not 13. 13.
Okay. We're gonna move on to the Saffron Republic, aka 2019. By the way, I wanted to mention again, whilst researching you, I found parallels and similarity.
Oh my god!
I did not know A, your brother acted. B, I have messaged Tanika Gupta 5 times if she would like to be on Chai with Rai. Homegirl just ain't responded. Because I'm very intrigued by this. I'm finishing this, and I was like, oh my god, your brother performed this.
Yeah, he was
just he performed it. Let's just he performed it. Saffron Republic, you co-directed and produced it with Surya Ilango.
She's a BBC journalist, yes.
I have watched it probably 10 times.
Wow, okay.
All of your viewers are basically me. It's
Hey, I have more than 10 views.
No, you do. I'm joking. I'm really joking. It's I want you to say that I want to say that it's absolutely beautiful. It's profounding. For those who don't know, it follows. I want to say it's interesting, and I'm going to question you. It says that it follows the murder of Gauri Lankesh, Rohit Vermula, and I was triggered because I remember Asifa Bano, and I was actually in the protests that happened here in London, outside Parliament.
That's another place we've crossed paths.
Oh, were you there?
Of course, yeah, I was filming. A lot of the footage that starts her section is from the London protest.
That was a very triggering thing for me to watch, and it brought me back to that time, and it just brought me back because it was like I would share these things on Instagram and nobody would hear about it. I would talk about politics with my friends and in the dance community, and I would say social activism or political activism in the dance community or in entertainment hadn't happened yet. And everybody would just walk away. FYI, the illustrations are great. Love the illustrations and who edited it. But you have some amazing people in it, some journalists and editors that I want to just give a shout out to. Supriya Sharma, Hartosh Singhbal, Sagrika Ghosh, who I thought said some beautiful things, the JNU activist. And you even had Gauri Lankesh's daughter. And these are my 3 favorite quotes from the movie. Her sister, okay, who quoted, and I'm paraphrasing this, that in regards to the activism and how she spoke, to dilute it, and do you have to? This I'm actually quoting. She says, do you have to? And the 2 other things that stood out to me was the JNU activists, one of them says, rally when they do not rally when they are alive. They're dead. Rally when they are alive. I found that really profounding. And then the last 5 minutes of it, I can't remember the gentleman who says this, but he says, in regards to Modi, he is not my prime minister of Hindus, of Sikhs, Christians, or Muslim. He doesn't speak my language.
It's the lawyer. He's the lawyer.
Yeah.
In Jammu.
And oh my God, explain to me why you made this movie and why you decided to do it, especially in 2019 of elections when he got re-elected. How was the production of it, behind the scenes, post-productions, the challenges of it? Because we have discussed, I think discussing politics and now looking at the chain and the whole Hindutva sort of situation of it. Yeah, now I'm just going to give it to you. We have 15 minutes to talk about it. 10, let's do it.
Okay. Well, from the beginning, the film was born in a very, very unplanned way. So
Okay.
Surya and I have known each other for a very, very long time. We knew each other when we were 13, 14 years old. We went on a camp together. And I had just graduated from university. I'd done journalism as my bachelor's degree. And my dissertation was on the Nirbhaya rape case that happened and the media representation of that rape case. And I was very, very interested in making a documentary. I graduated and I wanted to make a film. I then crossed paths with Surya. We went for lunch one day and we got to talking, and she also wanted to make a film. And she specifically wanted to make a film about Nirbhaya. And it was a Nirbhaya then and now, and sort of what's changed about sexual assault and rape culture in India. And I was like, let me do this with you, please. I've written this dissertation. I've spent months and months researching this, and I can be really valuable. And she is a journalist in BBC Radio, working in Sheffield. And she is honestly such a gem of a journalist. She's really open-minded and really wonderful to work with. And so we started our journey on making a film about that. Cut to September 2018. Pretty sure it was September 2018. Gauri Lankesh is murdered. And this is all over the news. And this is something we both heard of. Now, by this point, I am not well versed in Indian politics at all. I don't have a history of knowing anything about it. It was always this big, wide, very intimidating, unknown world to me that I didn't know anything about. I heard about Gauri Lankesh, and Surya and I started reading into it, and we started reading a lot about it and thinking, oh my God, what is this that's happened? What is this that's happened? And then we go, okay, you know what? No, we're going to make a film about this. We're going to make a film about this. And what started with a film about Gauri Lankesh, when you begin to unpack the box and when you begin to peel the onion, becomes a very, very scary, large, difficult to comprehend, impossible to wrap your head around concept. And thank God we had so much help. My father is very well versed in Indian politics, and he was such a guiding light for me in understanding history. I have a lot of friends who are very well versed in Indian politics, who are journalists in their own right in India, who helped me and who guided me through it, and who gave me the right publications to go to, the right places to go look at everything. And it was a few months of a lot of information at once, and trying to understand it all. And I remember and we had this brilliant research team of 3 girls, academics from SOAS University, and we sort of hired them as researchers for the film to help us, because we needed someone who knew more than us to take everything that we were going and go, no, this, because at the end of the day, I still do believe that the film we made is quite one-sided, but there is a reason for that, because I feel like there's already enough information about the other side. But
Are you talking about in terms of like the media, like CNN, IBC, and all of the other media publications?
Yeah, not just like that, but in general, like the amount of propaganda that comes out for the right wing in India, like there's enough.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, it's like, well, it's like big deal if it's a bit one-sided. Like hear the other side, listen to it. You don't hear enough of it. It's not in the mainstream enough, at least at that time. And so we gathered all this information, all of these case studies, and we were sat there for months, lost. I remember we decided we're going to make this film, and we just flew to India. We decided in September. In January, first week, Surya and I are in India. We land in Mumbai, and we start like hounding down Twitter, journalists, etc., with like this very basic list of questions, going, okay, we're going to interview this person, we're going to interview that. Like by the first week, we were burnt out because we were like, it was literally learning on the job.
Hello. Hi. You were burnt out.
Oh yeah, we were burnt. And so we start like picking up on the information. We start learning as we're going. And as with each interview, as we're learning, we're going, okay, shit, like this is way bigger. We come back, we have all this footage, we have all this information, we sit down with our researchers and we go, right, how are we going to do this? This is when I say to anybody who wants to make a film, please write your script before you make your film, because we made the one very basic mistake of writing the script after we started like creating our footage, which is why like if I were to make a film today, it would be done in a very different way. But everything was a learning experience, right? It's your first film. But your first film, you're always going to be lost. So we come back and we have all this information, and then we go, right, how are we going to do this? So we decide that Surya and I decide, right, okay, this film is going to be a short film. We're going to do 3 case studies. And the researchers, 3 girls look at us and they literally laugh in our faces and they go, ha, you want to try and collect the history of Indian politics and the BJP and the Hindutva culture in 3 case studies? Are you dumb? Like, you really think that you can grasp everything in 3 case studies? And we were like, well, we can't make it any longer than this. Like, we can't make a 3-hour documentary. A, we're not trained for it. B, we don't have a budget for it. And C, nobody's going to watch it. And so then they were like, okay, how do we do this? And that is how we decided our 3 case studies of Gauri Lankesh, Rohit Vemula, and Asif Abano. Because each of these case studies represent the 3 pillars of democracy that have been systematically broken down in India. You have the media, journalism, Gauri Lankesh, who was our initial point, Rohit Vemula, education, and Asif Abano, who represented the judiciary. And
can I just
lawyer was villainized.
pause you in terms of the letter, in terms of what Rohit wrote, and the end of it? Oh my God. When he writes those 2 points, of one where he says prescribe, and 2, like, in regards to the rope, I was like,
yeah, it was a lot. I still remember that trip we took to Hyderabad, and we met his best friend, the guy who we interviewed. And we walked around the university. We saw his room, and we were just sat there talking to him. I remember walking in to this guy's room who we interviewed, and his entire wall was just a huge mural of Rohit Vemula and his face, and like so much art, and it was like a crime, and it was incredible. And I remember that room, it was stuffy hot, like it was boiling hot. And this is on our 2nd trip to India, when we had our case studies decided and we knew who we were speaking to. And by then we had also hired a DOP and a sound guy. And so it was me and Surya and I, our DOP, Tejasvi, and our sound guy, Raj. And the 4 of us are just sitting there on these plastic chairs with 2 very small handheld cameras and a mic. And I'm asking the questions, and it was like stuffy hot. Like we were like beads, literally sweat beads and mosquitoes and everything. It was a very uncomfortable experience. But when he started to talk, it was like all of that just disappeared, because you could feel his hurt in every word he said, and his anger at the system, but also his helplessness, and how he's like, I can be angry at the system, but the system is rigged against me, so my anger is wasted. And that it's so depressing to listen to that. It's so depressing to sit down in front of a person who is angry, who is extremely intelligent, who knows exactly what they're talking about, and still have full knowledge of the fact that no matter what he says, nobody's going to listen. It's so depressing. So that film was, the whole process of making that film over the year and a half that we made it was really draining, emotionally, physically, mentally, because just trying to wrap your head around these concepts and walking into an interview going, well, obviously this is right and obviously this is wrong, and talking to someone like the professor of Banaras University who looked me in my eyes and said the things he said, and you just have to sit there and put on your best journalist face and not cringe, and then go home and try and like write it into a script. It's really heavy. It's heavy. It was heavy. I don't know.
I mean, it is a heavy thing, and I think I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna watch it again today. It's just, I think like I love shit like that, and there's this beautiful documentarian whose name is like Andrew Morgan, and I love watching his pieces, and though they have nothing contextually, but they make you think. There's this movie that is called The True Cost, and it's about fast fashion, and it's a wonderful documentary. And then he does documentary on like Vogues and fashion, and there's this wonderful program called Chef's Table, and I think I love documentaries when they trigger me. I have a couple of questions. We're going to answer them in 3 minutes, and we have to play games. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. No, honestly, on my clock, it's 15:15, so you still have 10 minutes.
Yeah, but I want to play some games as well.
Yeah.
So I'm like, slowly.
Sorry. Also, somebody just asked, where can I watch the film? Shruti, you can watch it on YouTube. It's publicly available on YouTube. It's a 25-minute film, and you know, a lot of people are like, oh, you made a film, like, let's watch it. And I'm like, let's not watch it right now because it's really morbid and you're going to have a really sad evening and we're all drinking wine. So maybe let's not watch it right now.
I mean, drink it with a wine and discuss like politics and educate yourself on a lot of things, and then go and research. Question. Have you now understood the caste system in terms of India? I have this question to ask you, and challenge me on this. When I was looking at Asifa Bano's case, and there were protests being, not protests, rallies, proing the fact to defend the guy and giving him extended security and basically protect him. And then listening to the court system and how being like the lawyers can only proceed with law in the courtroom, not on the road. And then things on how they handle the funeral, and then Hindutva, the mindset of like, oh my God, there's so many questions that I have to ask. And like, I'm trying to dilute it, which is, where do you think people get the mindset of purism when the system is rigged against you? So let's say, for example, if you're at the lowest of the castes, Dalits, am I correct in saying that? Pronouncing it right? Dalit. And BJP party is all about helping, and there's a purist mentality of Hinduism being the only religion, if I'm correct, because that's my understanding of what I got from it. But then at the same time, if Hinduism at the forefront and the caste system comes from Hinduism and the low caste, it doesn't help you in any way. How is it that people support that?
Okay. I'm going to answer this very carefully because no, I don't understand the caste system completely. I'm nowhere near educated enough to be able to give you nearly an answer that you can just take as Bible. You know, everything I say comes from my
experience,
short experience, and there are people who you should read and people who you should talk to who will know a lot more about this than I will. But from what I understand, Hinduism and the Hindutva is not Hinduism, and that's something very important that I learned whilst making the film. Hindutva does not represent Hinduism. Hinduism is a very, very pure religion. Hinduism, the Vedas, the philosophy, the history of it, like I said, through what I learned in Kathak, the mythology is very progressive. The Hindutva, like every religion has, is the extremist strand of it. Every religion has extremists. The Hindutva are the extremists of Hinduism. So it's very important not to muddy the two. Anybody who is a Hindu isn't automatically someone who supports the Hindutva. And it's very important to like create that distinction. I'm a Hindu, but I'm not somebody who supports the Hindutva. The Hindutva are a community of people, a large community of people who have always existed, but have recently come to the forefront because their voices have been validated by the ruling party, who have similar opinions and who don't criminalize their opinions and who don't shut them down. So they feel like, okay, well, if I speak up about this and if I spread hate crime with my Hindutva ideology, nothing will happen to me because I will be supported, like in all of these cases. Hindutva is a community of people who believe that Hinduism should be the presiding religion in India. They don't believe in secularism. They don't believe in shared spaces. They believe in they very strongly believe in the caste system. They believe in purity of religion, etc., etc., etc. So it is very important to distinguish that the caste system, whilst inextricably linked to the religion and to the culture and to the traditions, is also something that has been upheld by very wrong communities. So the caste system has been upheld by extremist communities. And don't get me wrong, everyday people will subconsciously partake in the wrong nature of the caste system. And the biggest example of that I can come to my head right now is the way in India, and not just in India, all over the world, Indians handle domestic help. The cleaners that come into their homes, who are cleaning professionals, but the way that they treat them, because often their domestic help comes from a different caste, the way that they have separate cutlery, separate cups,
separate toilets,
separate all of these things. And that you'll find that in the most progressive of households. Someone who may as well be a professor of something will have a cleaner who they don't allow to use the same cutlery as them. So the caste system and upholding that caste system is something that is so ingrained within our traditions and cultures, not in our religion. So you have to separate what is ingrained in our religion and what is ingrained in our traditions. Certain traditions need to be developed and certain traditions should change, but that's not a reflection on the religion. What the religion doesn't promote the caste system. It is our regressive mindset and the patriarchy and the way that the society has developed that has upheld the caste system. Traditionally, the caste system was born because they felt like certain communities of people weren't allowed to be educated in Sanskrit. But now, okay, for example, how's a good analogy would be menstruation. Women.
Can I say, you have to give me extra 5 minutes at the end? I have to have five extra minutes.
Fine.
Sorry.
I'm also just going to open my curtain.
Sorry.
But
we have no light in there, man.
Sorry, I opened my curtain. It was okay. So the best analogy. Okay, I'll finish on this. The best analogy of this is, and the best analogy of how old school regressive traditions are upheld because of the way that the stories are being told and the way that, like, it's such an ingrained belief, is something I've been talking about since I was like 16 years old. Women who menstruate, women on their periods in India. I'm not even going to say in temples, in India. Full stop. Being taught that, okay, traditionally in India, there was not very good sanitation. Women used to do a lot of the household work. There was not a place to clean up properly. They used to walk miles and miles and miles to get water. They used to work slave all day in the kitchen. So when they were on their period, that week was a chance for them to have a break. They didn't have to go into the kitchen and do all the work. You know, they were allowed to rest. You know, they didn't have to go and walk miles and miles and miles to pick up water. They didn't have to cook for the family. They were allowed to rest. And also they didn't have the right sanitation. So it was seen as something that was dirty because they didn't have the right sanitation.
Yeah.
Times have changed. We have the right sanitation now. And that's not how our society works. Yet, because of women being separated on their period, back then, we are now seen as impure because the way that theory has been taken through the years is that no, women aren't allowed to do this, women aren't allowed to touch, like they didn't have to rest, they were banned from entering holy places in the house. Yes, they were banned from entering holy places in the house because of the lack of sanitation, which is why they were seen as dirty. Yes, I agree that they were looked down upon, but what I'm trying to explain is why it's still upheld today. And the fact that it's still upheld today is wrong. And that is my analogy for the caste system. So it's the wrong reasons have continued regressive traditions. So traditions that at one point existed for certain reasons, for all the wrong reasons, and because of patriarchy and the way that, you know, stories are told by men and women are looked down upon, all these stories have still been upheld, but for all the wrong reasons. So we still live with ingrained regressive traditions, like treating domestic helpers in the way that they do, like treating women on their period in certain ways, because of all the wrong reasons. And because of the reasons the men of the world have told us, which are fundamentally against women and against anybody who they deem lower. So I don't know. That sounded very word vomity.
This is why. Oh my God, I wanted a little bit more time, but it's fine. I mean, you know, I think we have to do a part 2 because I wanted to talk to you about the mosque. I wanted to talk to you about INC, about the Gandhis, like so much more. And I wanted to dive so much more into dance and like so many more things. But, you know, we have to do a part 2. So when you're available,
we'll do it.
We have to. All right. To switch gears from something so deep, we're going to go and play some games. The games are called Super Child, Play with Rai. This is like a bipolar syndrome that has just happened. And we are going to do this. Are you ready?
I'm ready. What's the game?
Rapid fire round. I'll do 3 sections and we'll do them like really quickly and get them out. And then, boom. All right. The first section is called If You Were the Following, What Would You Be? So if I was like, if you were a color, what would you be? And then you name a color. All right. And you have to be really quick. Okay, cool. If you were a movie, what would the title of that movie be?
The title
quickly
of the movie would be Crocodile in a Chiffon Sari.
What would the title song be?
The title song would be Saloni Ki Jawani.
Sing it. 5, 6, 7, 8.
My name is Saloni Ki Jawani. I'm too smart for you.
Who would star in it?
Who would star in it? Who would play me? Radhika Apte.
Rasika Dugal.
Radhika Apte.
Oh, Radhika. Okay, what would the storyline be? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The storyline would be about a culturally confused girl with an identity crisis who becomes a major rebel and then becomes prime minister.
Oh, I love this. Well, if you were a drink, what would you be?
Espresso martini.
If you were a food, what would you be?
If I was a food, I was about to say fried chicken, but I'm vegetarian now. Stuffed mushrooms. No,
Stuffed mushrooms.
Truffle fries.
Oh, truffle. Oh. You need to go home slice, by the way, and you need to have the mushroom pizza. It has truffle oil on it. I swear to God, you will never, and you're a foodie, you would love it. Home slice, okay. Mushroom pizza. If you were a holiday destination, what would you be?
Bali.
If you were a flower, what would you be?
White rose.
If you were a color, what would you be?
Maroon.
If you were a drink, what would you be?
Espresso martini.
Oh yeah, I've said that. Lol, I had drink twice. And lastly, if you were a clothing item, what would you be?
A sports bra.
Cool. The next section. Either we can choose improv but make it Kathak. Okay. So in that, either I can give you tasks and you have to dance Kathak, or I can give you dance styles and you have to dance Kathak, all whilst you will be dancing to Adele.
Okay.
So which one would you like? Do you want to dance styles but make it Kathak, or situations and make it Kathak?
Situations.
Okay, cool.
Wait,
Are you ready?
Let me switch on some lights for this because it's
Let me take off my earphones. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Can you hear Adele? Actually, let me put on Someone Like You. It's much more calming. Are you ready? Start doing some Kathak to Adele. There you go. Kathak to Adele, Kathak to Adele. Your first scenario is vacuuming around the flat but make it Kathak.
Sorry?
Vacuuming around the flat but make it Kathak.
Found a girl and you married now. I heard that your dreams came true.
Eating a burger whilst doing Kathak. Eating a burger but make it Kathak.
Ooh, friend, why are you so shy? Ain't like you know.
Okay. Toilet pee-pee at a festival but make it Kathak.
Hate to turn up out of the blue uninvited, but I couldn't stay.
Make it Kathak. Make it Kathak.
I hoped you'd see my face and that you'd be reminded that for me it isn't over.
Okay. Gardening but drunk.
Never mind.
Gardening but?
Gardening but drunk.
I wish nothing but the best.
So make it Kathak. Make it Kathak.
Oh, Kathak.
Don't forget me. I'll play it. I'll remember you say. Sometimes it
Beautiful. Well done. Well done. Well done. There was another improvisation game, but I will stop. That is the games. I have to ask you these questions to end on, and as we only have 5 minutes, I have to do this. Otherwise, there were some more fun games around. It's your fault.
I'm glad you're going to make me dance more. No way, I'm tired.
Yeah, there was one dance game, but it would have been so much fun. You would have enjoyed it, actually. You would have actually enjoyed it. If you give me 10 minutes, I'll do that.
No, I actually have to go.
Okay, cool. Question 1. I have 4 questions to ask. Answer them very quickly. All right? If you take away the support of your family, and I ask this of every guest, if you take away the support of your family, your conviction of who you are as a person, your physical appearance, a lot of things that make you who you are today and make you want to continue on the path that you are, regardless of that photography, rapping, balls, singing, Kathak, and all of these things. If you take all of that away, and your friends and things like that, would you still continue to do what you do?
No.
No. Can I ask you why? Because there's a lot of people who don't have that.
Yeah, because everything that you mentioned, the way I feel about myself, the support of my parents, the people around me, are what make me who I am and are what gave me the confidence to embark on a path that was very, very, very not the mainstream. And so I think I would be a very different person if you take all those things away. I wouldn't be me. So I don't know what I would be doing, but maybe I would be, maybe I wouldn't be. But I feel like I can't be who I am without all of those aspects.
Yeah.
And it is all of those aspects which lead you to do what you do. So, no.
For anybody who doesn't have that, who doesn't have faith in themselves, confidence, support of family, friends, continuously struggle,
and, you know, have a very wavering sort of mind, fluctuate in terms of their physical appearance, what words of advice would you give quickly to them?
I don't think I'm in a place of authority to be giving any advice, but I feel like support, if you're privileged enough to get it from your family, you know, you're so lucky. If you're not, then support also comes from within. And all of this is so much easier said than done, because I have so many low moments where I feel like despite the support, I have no faith in myself. But if you do have moments where you feel like you lack support or you lack confidence in yourself, in those moments, I don't want to say like push to be the best who you want to be and, you know, strive for your goals and all that, because in that moment you can't. Like all of these things sound like useless, fluffy words. All I want to say is in that moment, allow yourself to just be who you want to be in that moment. So if you feel like you want to paint, but you wake up one Monday and you think, you know what, today I don't want to paint. I feel really shit about my painting. I feel like I don't have any support. It's okay to feel that way. You know, I feel like we put a lot of pressure on waking up every day, motivated, dedicated, ready to kill, but that's not realistic. That's not how the human mind works. That's not how human nature is. You know, you're going to have low days, you're going to have high days. And unless you embrace a low day for what it is, and really allow yourself to just feel it, you're never going to appreciate the high days. So what I'm going to say is, if you're feeling low and if you're feeling like you're not feeling your best, don't beat yourself up about not feeling your best. It's okay to not feel your best. That's all I'm going to say, is that, like, yeah, you're not feeling your best. That's fine.
Cool.
You don't have to try and feel better.
Quickly. Words you would say to your mirror self today. If you saw yourself, looked in the mirror today, what would you say?
Stop worrying about your skin.
Stop worrying about your skin. Cool. Peaks and valleys. Peaks and valleys is a question I ask everybody. Peak is a highest point of your personal professional life. What was it? What lesson you learned from it? A valley is a low point of your personal professional life. What was it? What lesson you learned from it? Go.
Okay, a peak would be oh my god, a peak would be winning a competition that I had no idea or had no expectation that I would win. And something, that one. I think something I've learned from that is I went into that competition thinking, you know what, win, lose, screw it, I just want to have fun. And I think the reason I won is because I had fun. So one of the biggest lessons is
have fun.
Stop taking everything so seriously. And a low point, I think currently right now through the pandemic has been a very low point in not just my career, anybody who pursues an artistic form. It's a low point because the future feels very bleak. You don't really know what you're doing. Your body is dilapidated. Your fitness is blah, 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 blah. And so a lesson I'm learning from that is exactly what I just said in the previous answer, which is don't beat yourself up about feeling low. It's okay. Like, you don't have to wake up and feel perfect all the time.
What does the future hold? What's the give? What's the ultimate thing? And then you'll be like, I am... Usually at this point, people talk about upcoming projects or things that they envision. I
think for me, the future has now become something to strive towards and only do things which make me happy. So even if it means I open genuinely, it sounds really fluffy, but even if it means I stop dancing and open a cafe, if that makes me happy, then I'm going to do that. Like, I realized we are too small in the world for anything we do to matter that much. So just focus on like keeping yourself and the people around you happy, and that's it. Like, if I can do that, if I can keep myself happy and my family and my loved ones happy, then I'm good. That's all I want from life.
Aww. And lastly, what is your favorite type of cha?
Adrak.
Adrak cha.
Obviously. There's no other chai.
There's no other chai. Well, Saloni, I want to thank you so much for coming here and talking things to me. Hopefully we'll do a part 2 because I really want to do a part 2. I'm so sad that you're going, but you have to go. You have to do things. And I'm just very appreciative. Guys, next week I have Shweta Agarwal. We're going to be talking about colorism as being South Asian. I will put this on my IGTV. Make sure to check that out. Saloni, I'm going to share this. Thank you so much.
Thank you for oh my god.
Look at you. Look at you.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Anytime. I really appreciate this. Thank you so much. Part 2. Have a great rest of the day. Bye.